Well, morning everyone. Join me for a little bit of a different session today. Whereas the last few years I've been sort of mainly concentrating on carp fishing. It's getting towards the winter now and my eye turns towards other species. You actually find me at a venue today that I don't often fish. It's a commercial carp fishery literally around the corner from my house. I could be here in 2 or 3 minutes. The problem I have with it is it's stuffed full of carp, and with that comes stuff full of people. So I tend to ignore it throughout the summer months and sort of concentrate on the winter when it's a little bit quiet, a few less people around, and the fish that I'm after is a bit more active, and that fish is the perch. They do say you have to take the rough with the smooth, the rough being it's a commercial carp fishery, it gets busy, there's a lot of people on, it's quite loud. The smooth is the enormous perch that inhabit this water. I've personally weighed 2 fish over £5. Not for me, for other people. One was caught on pellet and one was caught on cheese, but there you go. I've had them over £3 on lures and drop shot. Today I'm going to be targeting the bigger fish, and the way I tend to do that is with live baits. I'm going to be fishing 2 rods on live baits on Dyson rigs all day, which is my go-to rig for low resistance predator fishing. Same with my eel fishing, it's all very similar. I know the big fish are in here. I know roughly where they sort of hang around. Although they do come out from all over. I've only got a day to do it. It is Sunday, it is busy, so if you're hearing a lot of beeping and a lot of alarms going off, that's why. But there you go. Hopefully we'll get a big perch. Well, as some of the keen-eyed viewers amongst you may have already noticed, I've had a little move of swims, a little bit of a change of scenery. My reasons for doing so were sort of threefold. Firstly, and probably the most obvious, I haven't had a fish, as you would know because you haven't seen it. Secondly, it became very busy while I was fishing. I turned up first thing this morning and was the first one at the gate, chose my swim, but it's day ticket rules, and all of a sudden I was swamped within a couple of hours, and my sort of scope for where I was fishing was very, very narrow. So I don't think the predators are like that. I don't think they like all the lines in the water. I don't think they like the banging and crashing around. I don't think it's so much of a problem with the carp in here because there's so many of them, they're hungry, they'll feed anyway. But for the perch, I think a little bit of seclusion, a little bit of quiet is what you're after. Thirdly, look at the swim. It's unbelievable. You couldn't ask for a more stereotypical perch swim. Loads of snags, overhangs, little drop-offs, little bays, little cutbacks in the bank. Loads of places for big predators to hide, to ambush their prey. And that's what you're looking for when you're predator fishing. You're looking to try and get in the mindset of the predator. How do they need to set it up so they can maximise their chances of catching their dinner? I'm hoping that the move will pay off. Like I said, I'm only fishing a day session. There's not stacks of perch in here, but the ones that are in here do tend to be on the bigger side. If I can get one for the cameras, I'll be really chuffed. But if not, there's always next time. Well, as you can see, I've moved again. I gave it a little bit of time in that swim, but I just didn't really feel it. Didn't feel like it was going to happen. An unlimited time. So I want to make the most of it. I really desperately want to try and catch a fish, no matter what size, just to sort of prove that the theory works. So I've moved into another swim into sort of the main body of the lake. It's got a little bit of history of doing big fish. A friend of mine lost a very big fish here the past season, and it's done a few more in the past as well. So just before I get the rods back out again, I'm just going to quickly show you the setup I'm using and how I'm fishing the rigs I'm fishing. I'm fishing the same setup on 2 rods. There's no need to overcomplicate things. Perch predators, if you present a bait in front of them and they want to feed, they'll take it. The most important thing for me with perch and eel fishing and other similar predators is to minimise resistance. So if you're used to carp fishing, you're used to fishing semi-fixed leads and sort of bolt rig style setups, it's not the way to go. You'll catch fish, but not as many as you would do if you sort of fished a low resistance running rig. And my favourite of that type is the very famous rig called the Dyson rig. And all it basically utilises is a sunken float or a sub float, which allows you to present a bait off the bottom and as free running as sort of physically possible. It is super simple, and like I said, I don't like to overcomplicate things with this. And it's simply just a lead to a rig body with a float that you can adjust by a stopper, which will then slide up and down, to a run ring tied to the top of that. And I prefer to use the ceramic run rings. They are more money, but the smoothness of them when they're in the water is incomparable. The plastic ones will do a job, but I personally prefer to spend a little bit extra money and know I'm using that completely resistance free. And all you do is you pass that onto your main line, so it's running up and down, as you can see here. A nice big bead, big enough that it's not going to pass through one of these big run rings. Straight to a swivel, and then your rig. And the rig couldn't be any more simple. For perch I tend to use an 8 pound or a 6 pound fluorocarbon. If you was fishing a water where pike were present, then you might want to sort of start thinking about using a thin wire. But there's no pike in here. Perch are the only predators, except for potentially a few eels that I've heard rumours of. But yeah, so 8 pound fluorocarbon. Length adjusts to suit really, but that's about my starting length, and I'll adjust it if I feel I need to. And then to your hook, I've tried various different hook patterns, all different shapes and sizes, and this is the one I've settled for. It's a size 4 atomic claw. Obviously not intended to be used in sort of the predator situation, fishing for perch. It's a carp hook, but it's so sticky sharp and super strong, and when you're perch fishing, you do tend to be fishing up to snags and things like that, and you don't want your hook to fail. You want that to be lovely and sharp, and make sure it penetrates straight away, and you can give the fish a little bit of stick and get it away from any snags. And as for bait, I mean, if I wasn't fishing this particular water that's stuffed full of carp, my options would be a little bit wider. But it's stuffed full of carp, like to the brim, and anything other than sort of fish baits, dead baits, live baits, you're completely wasting your time. You'll be catching 5 to 8 pound fish all day long. But then if I wasn't fishing here, I'd be thinking about worms and maggots and things like that, things that everyone knows perch love. But like I said, you know, we're going to stick it out with the fish baits. It's a big fish rig. If we do get one, it's going to be a good one, I would think. We've got a couple of hours left now, probably the best time of day going into sort of the hours of darkness to the sun setting, which again is notoriously well known as being a good time to catch big perch. Who knows? I'm quietly optimistic of a take. It does tend to do a fish if you're fishing for it right, but then the water's very low to what it should be this time of year. The weather's been very unsettled. It's very uncharacteristic for sort of November. So I will say, I'm going to crack on, get the rods back out now, and see if we can nick one. Excuse me if I look a little bit flushed, a little bit red. I was just about to pack up. It's just started to rain. I've missed 2 takes in the last 20 minutes. I thought, well, that's it, chance gone. Chance wasn't gone. I've landed a fish, and one we came here for. Check this out. 3 pound, 2 ounce of awesome stripey. I'm over the moon. I really couldn't have expected it to go any better, really. All the blanking hours I spent before landing this fish are completely irrelevant now. I'm a little bit lost for words. You have to excuse me. This last bit of the video is going to be a little bit out of sync and a little bit not all there. I don't know what to say. I've got to pack up now. The gates are going to shut pretty soon. Got to get this fish back and go home. Thanks for watching.